Welcome to the Soul Different podcast, where two generations of women come together to talk all things parenting, health, business, and overcoming life's challenges. I'm Devon. I'm here with my amazing daughter, Zeyanna Monet, and we're on a mission to break barriers, rebuild the family unit as the cornerstone of success, and elevate our culture by sharing our stories and strategies for thriving together. Whether you're a mother, daughter, or both, we're here to inspire and empower you to nurture your health, grow your business, and build a legacy that moves us all forward. Let's dive into the conversation. We are back.
We are back for another episode of the Soul Different podcast, where we aren't just so different, we soul different. I'm excited about today's conversation because...
Wait, can I ask you a question? No, you just said, so do you remember Soul Train?
No.
You didn't grow up.
I wasn't old enough to look at Soul Train.
So how do you do have what is the one thing that you remember from one of your most favorite movies growing up that had Soul Train on it?
Crooklyn?
Yes. Is that where you get soul? Like, how did you know that?
No, because it's just the play on the word. Like,
oh, okay.
So different, but like so different. That was my that was my mindset in coming up with that.
Got it. Okay.
Because
yeah, got it.
I know that was an idea that you had when we first started. You were like, so
it's classic.
But I was thinking of the play on the word soul and soul.
Hence my bell bottoms today.
I have
in my platform shoes.
Yeah, I know. Look. So I'm excited about today's conversation because I believe that it's truly one of our makeups, one of our many pieces of our foundation is, our hustle, mother-daughter hustle, and how we thrive together in business and entrepreneurship. So I definitely, actually, let's do our affirmation first before we start. I forgot.
What are we affirming for the week?
It's on you.
You said that you had one.
We literally just talked about this before the camera started rolling. I said, Ma, you got the affirmation today because I've done the last two.
Oh, okay. So
sometimes she don't listen, y'all. I feel like the mother sometimes.
Well, especially because on the way here, I had no time to read any of the notes because I was on 2 business calls, like while trying to plan to make sure your brother wakes up on time to get to practice on time. So I am fruitful.
Okay. Be fruitful and multiply. Okay.
I am fruitful.
I am fruitful.
I am blessed.
Only one, Ma.
Oh, I thought we...
Guys,
okay, then you should start.
She's making us look like we not prepared.
You used to do it at the end, and now we're switching it up to do it at the beginning.
So together,
I am fruitful.
You are fruitful, and together we are fruitful.
Fruitful, yeah.
Teamwork,
that's a good one.
It makes the dream work.
That's a good one. Fruitful.
Fruitful is a good one for the conversation we're gonna have. Yes. So let's build. Let's get to the start of this conversation. I know we've talked about, our entrepreneurship journeys and where you started and then how that's trickled down to me. So that's gonna be the premise of our conversation today, is your entrepreneurship journey, your businesswoman journey, and then I'll share mine. So let's get going.
So this has been a journey for sure. Yes. And but lately, as you know, I don't think you knew that much about when I would say to you or share with you growing up and your grandmother Nana sending me down south for the summers and not knowing at that point that I was literally being trained and introduced to what it means to be fruitful, because Abed had a farm, and I would have to pick things. We all would have to pick things and bring it to dinner so that it can be cooked. But then
They were sharecroppers, y'all.
but then it dawned on me that there were also times when we would bag up things, and whether it be lima beans, black eyed peas, and we would put them outside and people would drive by, and that's how they would buy their beans and their watermelon. Right. And not knowing, don't remember a lot about like the exchange of money or like there being prices on things, but I would leave from way south, red dirt south, and I would go into the city and stay with my grandmother. And that's where, or great grandmother, that's when we would do the Kool-Aid cups. Now I'm trying to remember, was it great grandma or grandma? But it was both of them all.
Mama Estelle was your great grandmother.
Yes, she was my great grandmother. But they all just sold everything, whether it was from peaches in a jar, preserves is what they refer to them. We would have to can them. And but a lot of people would just come and buy them. But the Kool-Aid cups was what I remembered most, because I was actively involved in the transaction of the sale, getting to choose, telling which color. So to think, that it actually started before I was being groomed, before I even knew what it was like when the first product was placed in my hand. And I was asked to do a job with those products. And it meant to go and share them. It meant to go back to the hair salon that I frequent, and women started purchasing. And you were maybe about 8 then? I think, but about 8 or 9, because it was after
between
Nana
9
passed.
and 11, I would say.
Yeah. And but it just, everything is bringing me back to the grooming of that. And when we talk about it being in our DNA, is that a real thing? Or was DNA simply desperation? As a single mom, I knew that I was groomed for my weekends to have purpose. And that was from Nana. Just, we sold dinners on the weekends. She was an amazing cook. Just all around. She could bake anything, and just everything was like literally finger licking good, down to the recipe of her fried chicken. People coming over and asking her to show them how to make fried chicken. Unfortunately, I didn't learn. But
it's okay. I got the gene.
The seasoning gene, at least.
I know I don't look like I can cook, but I can throw down.
I can
throw down.
And I was always sent on the mission to go to the store. So as you know, when Nana passed, what I kept were the list of whether it was Laurie's or, she had specific, French's mustard, Campbell's chicken noodle soup, whatever it was to make the dressing, to make the, shout out to everybody who knows what that means. Dressing. So, well, your brother didn't know. So we had, we have to teach him sometimes. So the journey has been, I just call it just, if it's not DNA, it's for sure an opportunity to produce, to
be fruitful,
customer serve, just learning all those things. And no, I wasn't in the kitchen. Teamwork, consistency, what it meant to just sit and plan the menus, just all of it. And I don't even think we looked at it really back then as business. It was just a lot of layers to it. Yeah. We now know it's business. I now know I can't live without it. I can't exist. I feel like I'm drowning if I'm not serving in some way, if I'm not giving back in some way, if I'm not cultivating an idea in some way. I could only work, for someone else for a certain amount of time. So
she ain't lying, y'all. She is not lying.
It was like a blessing and a curse, as someone mentioned that to me earlier today. It's a blessing and a curse, and I'm like, yeah, I think that comes in a lot of ways.
I mean, you survived.
Yeah, yeah. We survived.
We survived.
We survived.
I'm a survivor.
I'm gonna make it. But we did. And then I always share the story about we were driving to a basketball game. You were playing basketball, and I drove you and some of your friends into the city for a championship game. And one of your teammates happened to ask me, well, how come you get to come to all of our games? And how come you're always the mother driving everybody home? And I remember you saying to your friend, my mom is an entrepreneur. And I remember, and it was like, I don't want to say her name, but I remember her literally responding. You remember who it was. And she said, what is that? And I remember both of us kind of chiming in because you had your version of it. But what were some of the things that you feel like were, as I watched my grandmother, great grandmother, my mother,
right?
What was some of the things that you gained from just the conversations of?
Well, I think it was more so I was just around
business.
it.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much, I couldn't pick up really like what was happening. And I remember our first journey into entrepreneurship, and I can say because I was right there with you, was when our aunt, Auntie Scooter, had a table. We used to go to celebrity basketball games in Boston. Wow. They don't really do them anymore, but I wish they did. And this particular one was at UMass Boston. I will never forget. And
Little Bow Wow was there.
No, B5.
No? Oh, somebody was there. I remember you were
that
very
particular
much.
One, B5 was there. I met Vita from Murder Inc. If you know, you know. And the Brat was at that one. And I was always a huge The Brat fan. I remember. Loved the Brat. So and
that was your second time meeting her. Well,
no, that was the first.
The celebrity game that we went to with our other famous cousin. We were in DC. Wasn't she at that one too? No? Who was there?
Bow Wow was at that one.
Bow Wow was at that. Okay, I'm confused. Yes. Bow Wow, Brat, yeah.
Little Bow Wow, you just don't know.
She's a hip hop baby.
So we were at the celebrity basketball game. And we had walked in, and I'll never forget because B5 was performing on like this little stage. It was probably like 3 inches tall. This is when they first came out. And Auntie Scooter had a table like not too far from the stage, and we didn't even know that she was going to be there. You know, this is
because she was older
at the time, right? So she probably didn't think we would be interested, or but she was there marketing a product that we know as Warm Spirit, and
shout out to the soy candles.
That's where it started, and I just recall once it got going. Weekends we were in people's living rooms, and I was helping you pack up the bins. We would have bins with all the candles and the body butters and the body oils, and we would go and sit in people's living rooms on a Saturday evening for hours literally. But at the time, obviously
we walked out with
some where the money reside. Absolutely. So I do customers. Remember, just at the time, of course, I think a theme for, this platform is the stories or the things that I was a part of, not really understanding the significance of them until I became a young woman and on my own journey. And just being a part of it, I remember you would do the demo hand scrubs on people's hands because they would touch that body scrub and literally be like,
lose their mind.
What is this? And I would be the one carrying the little pail to the bathroom, dumping it, bringing fresh water back. And not fully understanding, what that was then. But, I understood that you were on your grind, and, you were trying to, I wouldn't say mask your pain or your grief, but I know Nana had just passed away, and you were really like doing your best to find something to keep you busy, and that just fell on your lap, and that turned into, it's just crazy because we just always end up in the room with the winners, as we say. I'm gonna say her name, Nadine. She was amazing. She was the founder of that company, or
She was
co-founder of the company Warm Spirit, and my aunt used to cook for her. She used to, whatever Miss Nadine needed, my aunt was there. So then next thing you know, we're driving up to their house, their beautiful home in New Hampshire. And I'm cool now with her kids. And when we're going to the conferences, I'm in the, in the suite with her kids, and her daughter's ordering crazy room service, and I'm looking at her like, should you be doing that? She's like, yeah, don't worry about it. My parents will pay for it. I'm like, okay. So just to have that experience as a child, again, back then I didn't really know the significance of it, but now looking back, it's like, how many times can you say when you join a company or an industry that you get next to the co-founder, not just next to the co-founder, but you're invited into the co-founder's home. Your daughter is allowed to play with the co-founder's children. Like that to me is just a light. I call it a light that we have and that we share. And not just us, but a ton of our family members, my cousins, we all just have this light where we get in these rooms and in these positions to really have new opportunities. And I don't know if you know what that did for me. I know we talk about it all the time, but that's kind of, I didn't really know about it being entrepreneurship then until I got older. And my mom, y'all, she called my guidance counselor. I don't know what year high school this was, and I went to one of the biggest schools in Massachusetts. Shout out to Brockton High, class of 2009. And we had an entrepreneurship course.
DECA.
Well, I wasn't in DECA, but
that was the name of it.
DECA was separate from the actual entrepreneurship class. So I was in, she called my guidance counselor, Mrs. McDonough, I'll never forget, and she's like, I need whatever y'all have up there for entrepreneurship, whatever, I need my daughter to be in it. So I was in entrepreneurship class. Not only that, we had a bank in our school, Harbor One. We did. And I don't know how I got in that class, because it was literally only like 8 of us. To think how big Brockton High is to be selected for that class. More so you calling and being like, nope, if that's an opportunity, I need my daughter a part of it.
Well, I believe I wanted you in whatever there was like a program where you would get to like write a business plan and do all those things. And your guidance counselor was saying it's not going to work with basketball. Like I remember being heartbroken because I really thought that she was, having direct, like just, putting you in a, like, why can't she handle basketball in this program? I never knew the depths of it, but now that program actually exists here. And having conversations with people who are in it, and they're like, no, it's tough. Like after school, we're traveling to competitions and we're entering, so it, I think you could have handled it, but the way the counselor put it, it wasn't an option. So the fallback was, or the only other option was to at least give you some exposure to entrepreneurship through the classes. So that was, how we selected. And we just went through that with your brother. Same type of conversation.
Yeah, because if you don't ask, for all the families out there, if you don't ask, closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Never.
And, to have been in that class, because half of the class was we would sit in the actual bank, like in the school bank. And, we had our mock banking system, but there were also times where we would take turns actually servicing the students. And then another half of the class, like we were only in that maybe 2 times a week. And then the other 2 times we were in, it was like we were learning about stocks and trading, and we had like mock brokerage accounts. And, so, and, I can apologize because I probably should have taken that a little more serious, but Henry was in that class with me. So you already know we was cutting up a bit. Mix. We were definitely cutting up, but I can talk about it now. That was a long time ago, but it still was exposure. It still flicked on some lights in my brain.
I think those sprinkling opportunities are just similar to what I experienced. I didn't know passing Kool-Aid cups through my grandmother, great grandmother's door, for nickels, quarters, and dimes, didn't know how that was shaping me. So I think throughout, as we watch a lot of, other podcasts and people who we love to follow that, that just, it's it's always this dripping, whether it's part desperation. It's like all these layers of it that make you feel that you are learning, growing, and maybe that seed might not be sprouted until, like later in life. Right. After Nana, I remember when she had passed, as I mentioned, we were in conversations with a professional football player who had was playing for the Patriots at the time. And just another layer was not knowing that the fried chicken would lead to Nana now meal prepping for professional athletes. It just, everything was like dripping, but was it desperation? Was it DNA? Was it,
I think it was also thing. It was also preparation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because those things didn't like take off the way that they should, but they prepared you for all the next moments that came. But I would love for you to share about the class that you were in, and how you came up with the idea of Just a Call Away. I think that was, that was brilliant.
After the bikini car. So I had a vision of opening a bikini car wash. I grew up in the Freaknik era.
She might be on somebody's video VHS somewhere, y'all.
Well, I moved to Atlanta, and it was, again, just a beautiful time. You weren't hurt. You were safe. You're now here. Nobody harmed you in any way. But we definitely hit those streets and had a blast doing it. But I remember coming back home, and as I told you, I was in a Bible class. I recommitted my life through at church. Shout out to Morning Star Baptist, big church on the hill in Boston. And after class, someone approached me, and we'd be in class together every week, and new members class. And he said, I would just cry. Like I just come and I cry over Nana. And one day he said to me, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I was just like, I don't know. I think I might have shared the bikini car wash concept to him. I remember mentioning it to a few people, and they were like, Annette, well, first of all, it could only be in the summer because Boston's freezing 9 months out the year. Have you thought of that? And I was like, oh, okay, let me go back to the drawing board. But so Nana was a she lived in the homes of wealthy people from time to time, whether it be doctors, lawyers. And from that, she would call me and she would say, oh, well, the doctor needs the laundry picked up. The lawyer needs, the mother needs, and I would just drive there and do whatever it was. And then she'd slide me, a couple of $100. Like, doctor's going to pay you a couple of $100 just to go pick up some dry cleaning. Okay, so now we're actively, again, just cash is being slide through this little idea. Cash, idea, slide the cash. So not knowing that was a real industry, I wish I could tell you that I knew exactly where the concept for Just a Call Away came from, but it stemmed from me sitting in that entrepreneur class that gentleman, when he asked me what did I want to do, that led to a phone call, which then I had a meeting the following week. I was accepted into the Community Entrepreneurs Program. And that program had a program within it that was designed to help women to launch business ideas. And you were going to write a business plan. You were going to come to class twice a week. And I was so excited when I was accepted. But when I went in, I'm like, I can't sit in here and talk about this bikini car wash. Like, this needs to be.
You had to switch it up.
I had to switch it up. And I remember having like homework or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, this errand running thing is a real industry. It's called like concierge.
Right.
And they had like associations. And I looked up all the other businesses in Boston that were doing it. And I'm like, this is interesting. Okay. I think I mentioned to you, I don't remember how Just a Call Away was actually my name.
Yeah. Last name is Calloway. So she put the play on the words.
Just how it all came about was just like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then the concierge business, graduated from the program, became like a real thing. And now my friends, who happened to be at the time, they were mostly professional athletes.
These true stories, okay? True stories.
Well,
here.
but again, it came from the fried chicken.
Yeah.
Like it literally came from, good fried chicken, seasoned in mustard. Shouldn't tell that secret, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is already they're
Most
already doing
people
it
in the South. I feel like fried
I don't know
chicken
where
with
she got it
mustard.
from, but it was like a thing.
Yeah.
Mustard fried chicken. And so from that came the cream style corn, but then that led to meal prepping and, personal chef opportunities for, people who had the resources to pay us to do these things. And we lived off of that. Like, that's how we made a means to an end. Was it business? Did I have business cards most of the time? Probably not. Warm Spirit, I definitely had business cards. Shout out to Terrell Calloway, if I may. I remember he made me these square business cards. They were actually made, let's do something different. And they were actually made it into they were made in a square. I can visualize it to this day.
Weren't they black on one side?
They were a solid color on the black.
I remember one. I do remember that too.
Solid color
That's too funny.
when you flipped it over. But wow. So those were dripping moments that led to, we just sat with someone last night, ex-NFL player who is my brother.
Yeah.
That stemmed from that almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
We
had a good time. I used to be in the back seat, just riding out, and
you wanted so much because you wanted like a limo for your birthday and you were only 6. And I was like, what is happening right now? How do you even know what a limousine is? Or you gotta do some.
You expose the kid.
Exposing.
Expose the kid.
Exposing. But the growth, I think. So to even know to this day that it has dripped on you, prayerfully, it will drip on other generations that will stem from you and your brother.
Absolutely.
And as we talk about legacy, right? Like I think more now, less about it being business, but more about the legacy, which is biblical, right? Like a wise man leaves a legacy for his children's children. And when you say wise, you think of, is that, are you wise because you learned? Are you wise because you were dripped on, Kool-Aid cups through the screen door in the projects in Alabama? Where wise of what? Wisdom, all the things.
Yeah. I think it's a combination
so many
of, like we talk about, I feel like the DNA has been a theme. We've talked a lot about that, but definitely the exposure. For me, it was the exposure. I remember I told you the other day how when we were in, so after you took that class, the entrepreneurship class, we then ended up in a computer class that we had to go to like multiple nights out the week. We were learning, Excel and Word and just learning how to use a computer. And then at the end of the class, we got a free computer. I don't know how she found these things, but you think
community.
Back, it just makes.
Oh my gosh!
I just think about it. We had a huge desktop computer.
We did,
and then we laughed because every time it broke down, we would have to pack it up,
and it was so big, like the screen, the monitor.
It so bring big. It to this warehouse in the middle of nowhere, leave it for a couple of days. We get it back, and then eventually it'd be up and running again. And I had. Along that journey, of course, we just have so many things that we can talk about and different avenues we could go, but we're going to stay focused on the idea of entrepreneurship, where we, in the hustle and the thriving together, we made friends with the people who were running like a printing office in the front of that particular building. And that was your girl, still till this day when we see them, it's all love. And they check on me all the time. And they had a printing company, and I had made business cards. I was probably I was in middle school. Yeah, you were. So that it was either 7th or 8th grade because I was at North Junior High. And I made business cards with my name and our house phone number on it. And I remember just passing these cards out in the hallways and
at school?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I had no business to be offering anybody no services, no business, no nothing. But
That is
again,
so
I'm just like,
awesome.
just to have the opportunity to make
Right.
business cards at that age.
Right.
You're talking like 12, 13 years old.
That's so
and I actually
amazing.
I found one recently.
Wow.
Through all the packing and cleaning things out. And
Wow.
I remember looking at it because it literally has my whole name on it and our house phone number. And I remember being like, if Grandpa knew this, he would have had my behind, because you don't do that. Your full name and your phone number,
Everything. But he was a detective, y'all.
Yeah, so privacy
everything
and protection was his thing. But it's funny because that was the first thing when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, Grandpa would have kicked my butt if he would have seen this.
He definitely would
have. Just the idea.
Almost like when you played flag football and
what you about to say?
Well, how many butt whooping? How many? Can you think of how many Grandpa is gonna kill me stories? Would you say
a lot?
Yeah, that was definitely one of them.
A lot. There's been a lot, but thank God he never did.
He never.
But yeah, I just think about those moments. Like, what did I know? But again, like you said, what you're exposing the next generation to is just so important, because you don't know what they're going to pick up from it.
Right.
And, and
just to piggyback off of Grandpa, because after Nana passed, he became, because you were young, and he disliked that. When I think of, I'll just say not, but like Grandpa whooping butt, because he never touch me. I never even got a nothing ever or whooping for anything. But he just wanted me to get a job. Like, why can't you, if you love to talk to people, why don't you just become a police dispatcher? He would say, like, if you love talking to people so much. He just wanted me to find something that I could do. And I think of the gift that you gave him, which was bringing home your college degree. Yeah. Because that was big for him, is y'all, because he just said, I don't understand. Women's ain't supposed to be playing no football. Like, why would she want to?
Happy about that, but it's okay. I wish he would have came to some games. He would have understood why I liked to play.
But I'm thinking about like how he literally would crush my dreams. So about like, because we got to talk about, when you talk about entrepreneurship, you talk about failure, you talk about, I was always taught early, confronting the obstacles first. So if you know you don't have money, if you know you don't have time, if you know you're a single mom, like, and once you can figure out those things is when a next step should be thought of. But he was definitely a dream crusher when it came to being an entrepreneur, and I would have to sneak sometimes. But then he would buy me, he would say, what do you want for Mother's Day? And I'd say, I want a desk, and I'd come home and there'd be a desk in the front room, or
super
it was
supportive in his own way.
But
he had to give you the reality of some situations as well.
Right. And just knowing that it was all, like, again, another layer, because you're going to have some people who don't support you, who might be considered a dream crusher, might be considered, as you witnessed a lot with just what we would refer to as, lack of support of the people who we believed would support us, because they knew we were hustling. They knew our story. And so that's another layer to it. It's not always you get to, hang around professionals and create business and create profit. It's those other things that matter as well. Also, oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. That part is, has to be talked about too, because there was a lot of those things. A lot of, Nana passing away. Yeah. And she was the woman. She was the meal prepper. I couldn't season a chicken. Yeah. So knew the recipe, but I couldn't replace her when she went to the hospital and never came back like that. So the business was shattered at that point. I remember coming up with other things. Yeah. Because they still needed errands run. They still needed, moms picking up from airports. They still needed barbershop appointments, wanting their hair braided, but didn't want to go in the barbershop. So there was still other things that I could fill in. But the big part of that was her cooking. And when she passed away, it was done.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out a way to replace that.
Keep it going.
So obstacles.
This train gonna keep on rolling.
I can't.
This thing called life just keep on rolling.
And we kept on rolling, and we're still rolling.
Yes.
And we're still rolling.
We are.
We are still
and to
rolling.
conclude just, you know, the entrepreneurship journey conversation, I was going to say also, like, not only did I see you being an entrepreneur, but, you know, for me, the village again, you know, I had aunts and uncles that were landlords, you know, that again, I didn't realize as a little girl on weekends spending time with them and them going to check on their properties and me just being in the back seat, you know, because maybe you were at a warm spirit gathering. These people who stepped in, you know, were also doing things, we're also doing things that I got to see. And I also have to shout my dad out because, you know, he's a huge go-getter, hustler. As far as entrepreneurship, he's never really started a business, you know, but he's maintained, you know, and but growing up, a lot of people probably don't even know this, but my dad owned a pizza shop on Blue Hill Ave. It was called Brothers. And we had loved the chicken at this pizza shop prior to him even buying it.
Yes.
And I remember when he did buy it, and I would be in there as a little girl helping him make the pizza boxes after school or whenever, you know, he did pick me up. I would be right in there on Blue Hill Ave in that pizza shop with him.
Wow.
Going with him to do deliveries. Or if I was somewhere, I knew that pizza shop number by heart. I would call from the house phone, Daddy, can you bring me a pizza and orange soda and some chicken wings? You know, he would find a way. He would come and bring it to me. And my 9th birthday also was in the basement of the pizza shop. He threw me a surprise birthday party in the basement of this pizza shop. And
so crazy.
And again, you guys were so young. Like at that time, my dad was probably 28, 29.
Maybe.
And
if you were 8. If you were
8, 9.
Yeah.
So again, I have it on both sides, right? As far as like what I've seen.
You got big shoes to fill.
I do. And that's been I wouldn't say a battle as of lately, but you know, I have definitely been feeling like I'm not doing enough, which I always feel like, but I have learned to give myself some grace. But when I talk about, you know, Nana, Grandpa, you know, our aunts, like the legacy, the things that they instilled in me, like I have to repay them by continuing this legacy. Right? And I have to wake up every day because they didn't do the things that they did because they wanted to. A lot of times they had to, like we talked about, right? And for them to have now, most of them have all been passed on, my grandparents, but they planted those seeds in me. Like I always say, Nana passed and her soul, I feel like her soul just, you know, just came into my body, right? You know, and just to have that as a child, you know, I know everybody doesn't have those opportunities, right? But the cards that you're dealt, you do the best you can with them. And I have definitely been feeling as of lately like I gotta do better by my grandparents. They're watching over me, and you know, they always have wanted the best for me. And I just have to wake up every day and go after it. So you know, I feel like we could probably
do a whole episode
right and dive more into, you know, the things that I have going on now, but the foundation of what entrepreneurship and hustle and grind and doing it together, right? You know, and you
called it grace, and we look at it like making sure you're taking moments to celebrate those wins, right? Because a lot of times the focus will be on other things when it's simply celebrating the wins, right? Celebrating the wins, finding those opportunities. You've had a lot. You've had a lot. You've had a lot. So, and we reminisce on those, you know, a lot as well. You know, we do talk about those opportunities. For sure. Yeah. So we, you know, I think we can kind of get into a little bit of, to close us out, you know, what we have going on now, the current moment. Maybe instead of doing a game plan or play of the week, instead of doing a play of the week, maybe we share what we have
going on for ourselves currently to close out this episode?
Yeah.
Did you think about this one? Because y'all, I text her 5 hours ago. 5 hours ago and said, hey, Ma, think about this. So let's see, if she did her homework.
Well, because I like to tell stories, I will tell a little story because I'm not sure if we share with the audience about the opportunity that presented itself from you being involved in an accident.
Yeah, we'll share that.
We'll dive into that another time,
We'll
which is
sprinkle
another.
it in.
We'll
But it
drip
is
on that.
It's a part of our story,
It's a part of
and
the
I
story.
do believe that it can inspire others. So
I think we have to.
We will share that for sure.
Because that opportunity,
Would've never-
similar to Kool-Aid Cups fried chicken, presented a business opportunity.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
I can remember going into the bathroom, falling to my knees when I witnessed what you were going through after arriving to the emergency room. And all I could say was, God, you must have a bigger plan, because that little angel in there does not deserve this. So whatever's on the other side, guess what? We're here. We're going through this, but you have allowed this to happen so that there must be something on the other side. And that was literally my prayer in the bathroom. And not knowing that several days later, we would be introduced to a concept that's a biological process in the body.
Yes.
That I knew that it was your skin that had been traumatized the most in this accident, that you needed some help deeper, right? That skin has multiple layers, which I learned in Warm Spirit. I learned how to feed the skin. I learned how to nurture the skin. Plant-based has been my thing ever since then, botanical skincare. But I knew that the skin goes deep.
Right.
And if I could help you that way, maybe that would be one way that we could get through this. And knowing that, but not having any intention on how it was going to happen, I went home and you were wrapped in gauze. And I can remember laying and looking at the phone. And I typed something in, not really sure what it was, but what came out, and I believe I referred to the word as cells. I remember putting cells in the search, and because I knew that the skin was the largest organ, how can I help her? And I remember my hands were shaking, and it was probably about 3 a.m. You had just fell off to sleep. And what came from that?
Tough time.
Yeah.
Tough time.
What came out of that was me not being able to use my own resources, but at the same time, God still stepped in, and with the click of a button, I was being introduced to a concept that I had already been introduced to maybe 3 months before, not knowing I was going to need it to serve you at a level where now your skin is being repaired by your own cells, right?
Yes.
I took off running with that concept. I literally understood what needed to be done before we knew it, where I'm on a plane flying to Utah to meet the founders of this brand that has supported you in what I call a speedy recovery. Your voice had been silenced in our home. And as y'all can see and hear,
It's not normal.
she has a big voice, big personality. You're going to know when she's in the room. And I appreciate that about her. But when it was silenced, it hit me. Right. And so, yeah, plane ride to Utah was nothing for me. Everyone's like, you're going to Utah by yourself. You're going to give her that. You're going to let her drink that. Oh, yeah, I understand what's happening completely.
Right.
And within 3 days, you were up, sitting up in the bed. Your doctors were canceling out surgeries, canceling out taking skin from your thigh to put, everything had been erased. She has all new skin.
True story.
And I said, oh, well, what did you do? I said exactly what you told me to do, which was keep it moist. Everything we did. Shout out to Jasmine. You know, she's literally in the shower with you for a day. And I remember that I came home that Monday calling her like, I I'm on my way, don't worry, I'll be there, because I always needed to help. And then I was putting at the time it was a gel, and then you were drinking a liquid, but I knew I had to put all the gel on you before she wrapped your gauze. So I'm like, no, then I called you and you said, Ma, no, I don't think she needs to come. And I'm like, what do you mean? You couldn't move the first 2 days. You couldn't move.
I think that at that point I had taken my own shower.
You were right.
Yeah.
And you said, no, I think I can do it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, oh, Lord, this means that I'm going to have to be the one to because you were falling to your knees. I don't know if you can remember, but when the water was hitting your skin, you would like literally fall to your knees.
Yeah, it was quite painful.
Yeah. So to know that you got in the shower and there was no falling to the knees. Taking you to the doctor in a few days, I understood why, because your skin literally had come back. It repaired. So dived into that. Oh boy, did we dive, and had a whole lot of fun helping a whole lot of people, which then led to some more cellular rejuvenation concepts that I'm so passionate about this. As some of you can see, I'm wearing the technology right now. Do you have yours on?
I do, but I have them in places that cannot be shown.
You can wear the patch to reboot, to rejuvenate, to this technology is just I can't sleep most times because of how I believe that only God could bring to humanity something that can serve us at this level. And it's so deep, but so simple, because as we talked about the light,
yes.
I couldn't wait to expand on that.
Yes.
Because it's not only light that we believe and know we have.
Right.
It's literally a light
that's inside of us.
That we all
that our body
have.
Reflects.
All of us.
Yes.
Every living thing. So can't wait to get out to Utah too. But in the meantime, again, because this company, the other products were a different brand, but this brand was just introduced to us through the journey of, creating something new in our lives. A lot of newness came from that. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to do some exciting things with X39, because I'm sure a lot of you all, yes. It's a super, super exciting brand. So many people around the world, in a minute, everybody is going to have on one of these, and you're going to know exactly what it is. Yeah. And you're going to know that person is in charge of their longevity, in charge of their life. I want to be around for as long as I can. So I will wear the technology. I will get the information. I will share it from the rooftops.
Yes.
And we're going to have some fun with this. So I'm super excited.
And I can say that I typically...
And I'm matching today.
Yeah,
did you see that?
Look at that.
Oh my
Performance
gosh.
bundle.
It even matches my shoes. Blue. Look at that.
I have got behind my mother in this.
Yes, you have.
And when we talk about the journey, every few years, my mom, would be coming through the door with something new, and as her daughter,
all things new, it's biblical.
Yes.
All
as, her daughter, typically I'm like, okay, Ma, what do just let me know what you need from me and I'll do my best, but
yeah. I was making lots of money off, with telling your story.
She was using my pictures, y'all.
It was like,
I should have had them. You should have had to pay me for every time you showed a before and after picture.
Oh,
but
we'll
share that stuff too. But
yeah,
I have got, I wouldn't say behind, but next to my mom in this next journey in our different layers of entrepreneurship, because we do real estate, we do, I started a nonprofit back home, it's so many different layers of entrepreneurship for us. But a huge motivation for me with this is, if you guys just take a look at my mother, just look at her. We won't tell her age on here, but you can see me, I'm a grown woman. People have always mistaken us for sisters. It's, as long as I can remember, the boys in middle school just skipped over liking me, and they would like my mom. I'm not kidding you. They would be like, Zeyanna, where's your mom? Zeyanna, where's your mom? Oh my gosh, your
Shame
mom is
on those
so
little
pretty,
boys.
So for a long time, but just the investment in your health, in your wealth.
Yeah. All jokes aside, because this was really a move to, we started losing all the aunts that we're talking about, like mom
no longer with us. And, you know, some things can be preventative, and there are things we can get ahead of if we just simply do the research and take the time to listen to someone like my mom that has an alternative method. And what's the beauty in this is you can wear these patches on top of anything else that you're already doing. It's not going to affect your, you know, your high blood pressure medication or your you know, your diabetes medication. It's not going to affect any of that. If anything, it's going to help you get to a place where,
and disclaimer, we're not claiming any cures or
not a cure, but this is helping lots of people, and us included. And like I said, I just say look at my mother. You know, she's not doing anything grand, but you know, I always say it's like you're kind of aging backwards, and it keeps me sharp because I'm like, okay, wait a minute now. You know, I gotta, you know, my game gotta be sharp too when we walk in these rooms.
Legacy.
They gotta continue, you know, thinking that we're sisters, you know. Yeah.
And we don't talk a lot of another area of this particular therapy, because the therapy behind this is been used for centuries. And I'll say a big word called photobiomodulation. Wow. I just learned that a few months. Well, yeah. Learning, growing, hustle. Learn, grow, hustle. Yeah. So photobiomodulation, not new. Phototherapy, not new.
Yes.
Light therapy, not new.
Yes.
New to our community, probably so.
Yeah.
And so we're going to embrace this journey. I get emotional when I think about it, just because of the when the Bible speaks to be not conformed, but renew by your mind. This is one of these things.
Yes.
And if you renew your mind with this, the legacy that it can be attached to y'all is, I mean, this is you're going to know about this, and you're going to know about it in a way of all the ways that it's helping to improve humanity.
Absolutely.
And as you know, I've become fascinated with the founder because of the brilliance that he's decided to share with the world during this very time of lots of bad things are happening in the world, but lots of good is happening, and we've decided to share this good.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're gonna start, and the story will continue.
Absolutely.
Hustle.
So there'll be more information in the bio and more ways that you guys can find out about this new technology, and we are looking for brand partners and people who want to try the product as well as get beside us in sharing the product. Yeah. So that I think that's our, you know, we can together. That's our.
I'm so proud of you, daughter.
Proud of you. I ain't even getting started yet, Mama Dukes.
Yeah, this is
because you know what? Yeah. This train gonna keep on rolling.
Is that a new line dance song?
Keep on rolling.
Do you know? But that person's coming to where we are, really soon,
leave, baby.
She snapped. Every episode we have to go through a song.
A little song. I love to break out in song. That's one thing our family always does.
Drew Hill was your favorite.
I love Drew Hill.
We'll
get into some Drew Hill karaoke next episode. But I think that was a good conversation.
This has been great.
And please,
great.
Listen to our next episode. Listen to the next one after that one, because we just have so many stories and journeys and different things that we can get into. It's kind of hard to stay focused on one thing, so bear with us. But this is new to us, but we're growing and we're building, and the best part about it is we're doing it together as
Rich
a family.
Dad, Poor Dad.
So, all right, what are we gonna break today?
What are we gonna break with?
Let me not hit the mic. Raymond gonna be mad at me.
Shout out to Raymond.
What are we gonna break today?
Building wealth while being black.
Hustle on 3.
Hustle or fruitful?
Fruitful hustle. Fruitful hustle. Oh, before we end, I want to share one thing. We heard on the radio a woman said, dream brave. Remember, we heard that last Sunday. Before we end, I just want to
shout out to 102 point. Oh, sorry.
Dropping the loc.
Yeah.
So I'm in a location, woman. Anyways,
You can listen from anywhere.
Dream brave.
Yeah.
Dream brave. That's something that we've continued to do. And I just would love to see all of our people, mothers, daughters, fathers, daughters, families together, dreaming brave. Don't be afraid to just go after the things that you want to do. And I'm just now getting to that space. Always been a dreamer, always been a visionary, always have ideas. I have notebooks full of ideas written down. I have whiteboards in my room full of ideas. But
She definitely does.
I am finally getting to a space where I'm dreaming brave and I'm taking the chances and the risks on myself and investing in myself and getting the things done that I want to get done. So maybe we say that. Dream brave on 3.
We can do that.
Okay, but I'm just going to put one hand.
One hand.
I don't want to, mess up the equipment. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Tres. Dream brave.
Thank you for tuning into the Soul Different podcast, where we soul different and we are so different. We hope today's conversation sparked new ideas, inspiration, and a renewed commitment to building strong families and legacies. Remember, no obstacle is too big when we stand together. Let's keep pushing forward, cultivating our health, building our businesses, and most importantly, strengthening the foundation of family. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue to break barriers and elevate our culture. Until then, remember, you are worthy, stay strong, stay connected, and keep building for the future.